I'm Statman Dave, welcome to the Squawka YouTube channel. You asked for this topic in the comments, so we made it. This video is fixing Arsenal's transfer situation. There's always rumours about players coming in and coming out of every club. We're going to take a step back and look at the squad and ask where some signings would benefit the team the most and who'd be the best players to bring in. I'm going to give you my opinion and I want you to give me yours in the comments below. We're very close to 100,000 subscribers. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, please do us a favour and hit the button below. If 5% of you watching do this, then we'll get to 100k straight away and we'll get a very big party started. Looking at Mikel Arteta's current squad, this is how it balances up. We've highlighted players that are rumoured to be leaving. You can see there's definitely a few gaps, especially in that central area. You're thinking centre-half has got to be addressed. It hasn't been for years, but potentially William Saliba could come in and do that. But also, of course, in central midfield and attacking midfield. There's a lot of problems that Arsenal need to fix, so it's time to dive in to the tactics. So we've got Mikel Arteta's favoured 11 on screen right now. In the 4-2-3-1 shape, you think at Arsenal they attack in a really interesting way. The shape moves to a front five. Nicolas Pepe pulls wide, Ozil goes into the inside right channel, and Kolasinac, or the left back, be it Kolasinac or Saka, who's done really well in recent weeks, coming into the side, creates this sort of shape. In a little bit of a two at the back, three in midfield, a little bit lopsided, with Bayer in or Maitland-Niles before, joining sort of that midfield zone and sitting in this really decent sort of block with, the likes of Aubameyang making those runs, or the inside forward in behind, Lacazette coming off, Ozil coming off. Really good fluid play, but there's some definitely holes in the squad, of course, at centre-back, which we're going to address first and foremost. If we drop Arsenal back into their shape that we had previously, the traditional 4-2-3-1 without the movement of the players when they've got the ball. At centre-back, Upamecano could be brought in from RB Leipzig to replace someone like Socrates in the first 11. The RB Leipzig centre-back has really kicked on this season. In terms of his biggest strengths, it's bringing the ball out of defence, but also playing those passes into the final third. Under Julian Nagelsmann, he's really taken himself to that next level. We all thought it would happen. Last season he was out with injury. This season he's been fantastic. In the Champions League group stages this season, Upamecano played more balls into the final third than any other centre-back. You're thinking more than the likes of Bonucci, Virgil van Dijk. He was the guy that was firing the balls into the feet of the attackers, moving it into that final third. Something that Arsenal could really use, a player that is capable of stepping out of defence. I think with someone like David Luiz, who is very comfortable on the ball also, if you've got that duality, that dual threat of playing those passes. Mentioned before, Arsenal's shape does transition with the likes of Aubameyang moving sort of into that central area, Pepe keeping the width on the right-hand side, and then the fullback adding a little bit of width there. Having the pass from that sort of right centre-back area, or alternatively if they switch it around and he's on that left-hand side, the pass to break the lines that is so important in the modern day can be played by both centre-backs instead of having one centre-back that's good and one centre-back that's really poor. Upamecano as well is fundamentally a fantastic defender. He's won 93% of his tackles in the Champions League this season and 64% of his aerial duels, a dominant centre-back that would massively upgrade Arsenal's defence. And you're thinking with William Saliba coming back from Saint-Etienne after his loan spell, after they loaned him back, after buying him, that is two of the best young French centre-backs in world football. Next, I think we should look at central midfield. Arsenal got a few players in there that can do really good roles. Thinking Granit Xhaka, Lucas Torreira, but also Guendouzi off the bench is a fantastic talent. But for Arsenal, maybe they need a little bit more in that area. One player that they could look to bring in from the Premier League would be Sheffield United's John Fleck. He'd be a player that wouldn't be maybe as favoured as a big name signing, but could do a really good job. This season in the Premier League, it's his first season in the top flight of English football. He scored 5 goals and got 2 assists so far. Arguably plays the role a little bit more attacking of his, the midfield pairing. You're thinking Lundstram, very box to box. You're thinking Ollie Norwood holds his position and dictates the play. Fleck can dictate deep, but also can combine in that final third. So could play a role with a Guendouzi in midfield, maybe providing a little bit more of a cover option, being a little bit more aggressive. The interesting side about Sheffield United and especially John Fleck is the amount of possession that they win. In terms of John Fleck, he's won possession back more than N'Golo Kante this season. So could play a very good role against someone like a Guendouzi, or potentially, if you still want to keep in Granit Xhaka to control the tempo, whether it'll be at Arsenal next season, we do not know. But John Fleck could be a good signing and could be relatively cheap for Arsenal Football Club, given his age at 28 years old, but he's coming into the prime of his career. So next up, let's go for another centre-half, Jerome Boateng. Big rumours about this move, him moving to Arsenal in January or maybe the summer. The big thing with Boateng, though, for me, is if you're going to bring him in, yeah, he'll be a massive upgrade on what they've got at centre-back, but coming to the end of his career, 31 years old, he seems like a player that's really fallen off the cliff in recent years. You think the Lionel Messi falling into that crater of the World Cup. This season, Bayern Munich lost 5-1 to Eintracht Frankfurt and Boateng had a stinker. Yes, you heard that right. Bayern Munich lost 5-1. Boateng was terrible in that game. Well, he only played 9 minutes. The real moment that opened up the game was his red card. He missed an interception, sloppy defending. Paciencia got in behind him, faced him up, ran towards the box, and Boateng just cleared him out and got himself a red card. Could have been a penalty as well, but VAR sorted that out and the foul was just outside the box. Boateng isn't at the same level that he was. The all-conquering Jerome Boateng that we remember from the German national team, he's not there anymore, and you're thinking there's a lot of mistakes already in this Arsenal backline. Mustafi's pass back versus Chelsea that led to David Luiz red card. Do they need more of that? Probably not. So my advice to Arsenal would be, if you're going to sign Jerome Boateng, get him on loan. Do not buy him straight up. The big thing there, if you get him on loan for 6 months and he can jump back up, maybe the levels can go back up, and he'll be a good Premier League defender, then yeah, sign him after that. But you've got to give him that time on loan because he's got the potential to get sent off, and there's too much of that in the Arsenal backline already. So next up, let's go to Levin Kurzawa, that Arsenal are reportedly looking to sign on a free transfer in the summer. Whether they can get a loan agreement from January to the time that they get him on a free could be seen there. In terms of what Arsenal would get from Kurzawa as a player that's never really hit the peak of his career, I think being at PSG for far too long, you're thinking he's never got over 5 assists in a league season in Ligue 1, that's pretty poor. In the last 3 Ligue 1 seasons, he's got 5 assists in total. In terms of creativity, he averages 0.6 chances per game. That is pretty poor. And for me, Arsenal have got better players already in the squad. I think what Kolasinac has done under Unai Emery has been absolutely fantastic. Filling into that position. You think it gives great width in the final third. You also got the likes of Kieran Tierney that has got great potential as a left back, and on top of that, Saka. I just think left back for Arsenal is an area they don't really need to strengthen. I think one of those 3 players is going to step up. Get in the comments below, who do you think is going to be Arsenal's starting left back next season? Saka, Tierney, or Kolasinac, or even Kurzawa coming in on a free transfer. For me, I think that's bad business for Arsenal. Got enough players at left back. Spending £30 million on a left back last summer, you need to be able to give that player some time, especially since he came back from that terrible injury in Kieran Tierney. So now let's talk about the forward line. This is an area where there's quite a lot of rumours going in and out of the football club, with the likes of Aubameyang being linked to Barcelona. Why they want to sign another forward, I don't know, but that is apparently on the cards. You've also got Lacazette that's been heavily linked to a move to Atletico Madrid. Atletico are really interested in Cavani. The likes of Morata and Costa haven't quite worked out. They want to build someone, partnership with João Felix. They're all a mess over there, but Lacazette, Aubameyang could be moving forward. So a player that you could look at to replace him, again, on a free transfer for Arsenal, could be great business, Driss Mertens. Driss Mertens arguably has played his best football in a style similar to what Mikel Arteta is bringing to Arsenal, a tiki-taka philosophy, or even Sarri ball, should we say. In Napoli, he was absolutely brilliant as a false 9. Really suited his play, his ability to come off the line and link in areas, but also get forward into the penalty area and finish off moves. He was absolutely brilliant. In his last 4 Serie A seasons, only Ciro Immobile has scored more goals in Serie A. 66 goals for Driss Mertens. That is a cracking record. And I think in the Premier League, small dynamic forwards are starting to make a bit of a name for themselves. So he could be another guy in there that would be absolutely perfect. But this is my 11. These are my transfers. Get into the comments below of what you think. Your 11, your lineup, which players at Arsenal should be recruiting. If you enjoyed this video and you're not already subscribed, please hit that button below and get us to 100k.